Hello, my name is Wayne Hugendubel, and I'm here with you today, and I represent Coldwell Banker Residential Brokerage. And I'm here today with my in-house mortgage representative.
Jennifer Newsom at Guarantee Rate Affinity.
And Jennifer, by the way, had a Customer Care Service Award for 2021. And Jennifer's been a full-time professional at this for many, many years. And we're going to start talking about the mortgage process and about how getting pre-approved and pre-qualification and what's the meaning of it and how do we get started. So Jen, let's start out. What's the difference between pre-approval and pre-qualification?
Yeah, so great question, Wayne. The difference typically is one doesn't review all of your income and asset documentation where the other one does. And I'll be honest, different lenders and different banks use these terms interchangeably. I think the important part is to know what your lender is doing. I think it's important with a pre-approval to make sure that they have reviewed your income and asset documentation. All of them should pull your credit, but basically a pre-qual is just pulling your credit and basing a pre-approval on information you have given them verbally. A pre-approval is pulling your credit, providing income documentation and asset documentation so that you are solid and you're ready to get out there to buy a house.
I think it's also important to note that I've learned from you over the course of years that going back to the Dodd-Frank laws, there's guidelines for that. You just can't, mortgage brokers have guidelines to go by. They just can't do anything or just pull people's credit without permission. And again, there's a huge distinction between pre-approval and pre-qualification.
Correct.
So Jen, what's the next step? So I run into a buyer client, and particularly in this market, you need to move things along quickly and you need to be prepared.
Yep.
So we get somebody to you, they can give you a call, your online app
Yep.
process, can you just speak
Yeah,
to?
yeah, absolutely. So I have an online application. We call it our digital application. It's so simple to use for clients. It literally takes you page by page, one question at a time. Once you finish answering all of your questions, which is going to build your pre-approval, you're then able to upload your pay stubs, W-2s, tax returns, whatever it is we might need to do that pre-approval. It is a simple process. It's something that can take maybe about 15 minutes for a client, and they can be fully pre-approved at this point. But it's so important, like you said, Wayne, in this market to be ready to go, because it is a very busy market, and that pre-approval is so important to have a competitive offer.
The other very important aspect of that too is when buyers are first starting out looking for their homes or clients, how much can I afford? That's specific to each person, couple, individual, and that is part of your process.
Mm-hmm.
And Jen will also help buyer clients how to set your goals. What's your monthly payment? What goal do we want to be at? What's the affordable range that works for each client?
Correct. I think it's important to know the difference between what you can be pre-approved for and what fits into your budget. If you haven't run a budget yet, you need to run a budget. You want to know what you can afford and still pay the rest of your bills every month. So, very important.
Jennifer's extremely helpful with that, and what we usually do a lot of times is we do what we call the workup. We take a ghost house, maybe a property that's already sold and a price range that you think you're looking in, and Jennifer will walk through those numbers and give you how much you're going to need for down payment, and that varies.
Correct.
That can be as little as...
Yeah, we have anywhere from 0 down to whatever you've been able to save for a down payment. The misconception of having to have 20% down, a lot of people think that has gone away. Maybe about 25 years ago that requirement has gone away. So first time home buyers, we have a couple 0 down programs, and then it just goes from there. Typically we want to see at least 5% down, but we have all ranges of different products, different down payments, different credit scores. If your scores are low, if you have high credit scores, we have so many different products. It's so important to have that conversation to figure out which program is best for any individual.
The other part of the equation that comes into that too a lot of times, and particularly with these markets moving so quick and home prices rising, in the baby boomer generation and people coming back to be closer to families, there's a lot of circumstances with gift money. People need to understand about gift money. You don't want to have gift money supposedly coming in 2 weeks before closing, because if it doesn't come, the buyer's going to spend money on home inspections, appraisals, and mortgage processes, and So if you want
Very
to talk
true.
a little bit about the gift money situation.
Very true. Getting gifts is very important, and actually we see a lot of gifts with first-time home buyers. It's very important it is done to follow the guidelines per whatever mortgage program you're going with. I always recommend to people at the time they get pre-approved to get their gift funds then. That way they're already in their account, and possibly it's a couple less hurdles that they'll have to go through to get to the closing. Gift funds can come from family members. That's something that people don't often understand. They have friends who want to give them gifts. It's not allowed in most programs. So it's very important that you talk to your loan officer to get the guidelines of the gift, who can give them to you and how they can be given to you. I always tell people there's a right way and a wrong way to get a gift. It's just a quick conversation to make sure it's done the right way. If it's done incorrectly, those funds aren't going to be able to be used for the closing, and then it just causes, speed bumps and potentially will make it so you won't even be able to get that closing done.
And the reason we ask for those gift funds to be in early on, or at least the guidelines set up for that, if Aunt Susie or Grandma's giving you a gift fund and only you and Grandma know about it, and then 3 weeks down the road or into the process, then the other son or daughter or grandson, some family member finds out about it or wasn't properly disclosed, and then it becomes a problem. And why is Wayne getting gift funds and Jennifer's not? So avoid those problems later on. We're just trying to help out and get people through the process.
Yeah, it's very true. There are things that come up that you just don't know that might come up that could prevent you from being able to close on that house. So the more conversations you have, the earlier you get your pre-approval done, the better off you're going to be. You could say, you know what, I'm not looking to buy a house until next August. It is never too soon to start taking a peek at that pre-approval to see where you're at.
That's true. Get everything in, get it organized, and also Jennifer will always tell the buyer clients, as we will, don't be buying furniture or hitting credit cards prior to closing. You need to get all that in place. There needs to be explanations for that. The mortgage process is going to continue to be checking credit scores, and if there's any expenditures, and if any flags are waived, there's going to be explanations needed to compensate for that. So, but again, it's better to be prepared for that up front. So buy the couch the day after the closing, and don't buy a new car a week before.
Yes, definitely.
We don't want you having a car, not a home.
Yes, there are do's and don'ts to do and don't do before trying to get a mortgage, and opening up any new credit or closing credit are two do not do's. Definitely want to have that conversation with your loan officer before you do anything that's going to change your income or your debts.
So thank you very much for tuning in today. If you have any questions, either on the mortgage process, please contact Jennifer. Any questions on the real estate side, feel free to reach out to me, and we'd be more than happy to help you through this process. So happy days, have a good winter, and hopefully it'll be getting a little bit warmer, and we're here to help you in the buying process.
Absolutely. Thank you.